Hey everyone. So I am back and I used to make tons of videos and interviewing people from all walks of life. And as you know, I am stoked to be back in my home state of Michigan with all of the amazing things that are happening, especially around startup technology, business entrepreneurship. The last 7 years being back in Michigan has been amazing. Pete is a fellow boomeranger and has done a myriad amount of things. And I wanted to chat with Pete to get his 2 cents on what he's done when he left and why he's back in Michigan. Hi, Pete.
Nikita, how you doing?
Good. And so you're here in Michigan now.
Yeah. We've been back in Michigan for just over 3 years. We crossed the 3-year mark about a month ago now, and it's wild. Yeah, it's been a really good time since we came back home.
So I guess because your background is so interesting and has so many intricate details to your career and what you've done, I know you've done different types of entrepreneurial work and then you came back to the mitten. Give folks a sense of, what you did when you left and what made you come back.
Yeah, I left Michigan because I knew that I had to leave Michigan in order to go build a career. It was just like everybody knew that if you wanted to go build a career, like a good career, you had to leave the state in order to do it. That was the perception of Michigan that I had growing up. That I think a lot of people have had
Yep.
around our state, and so
Same.
I left. I left Michigan the first real opportunity that I had, and that was early 2011. So it's a while ago now, but almost 15 years ago. I moved to New York City. I was an early employee at an electronic broker dealer called Dash Financial. Kind of cut my teeth there. Got my Series 7 when I was there. I was really interested in finance, but it was also a technology company, and so it was a good, easy choice for me to kind of take that leap. I moved to Chicago with that same company and was doing a lot of stuff. Was a bit like an inexperienced VP of operations or something, if you want to think of it that way. So I was running IT, I was running human resources, I was right hand to the CEO of the company, doing a bunch of interesting projects that we were working on, just learning a lot. And I can't believe I still have my hair because it was a really stressful time. And then about a few years into that, we left that company to co-found what became Alter, so a data security company. And that was a venture-backed company. Going to raise about $30 million
Oh,
through
wow.
my time there. The company's gone on to raise about 55 or so. And we hired a lot of people, and we started that in Chicago. I moved down to Florida when we raised our Series A. I would say we started that company to solve a problem that we had at our previous company, which is like, how do we really know and control who has access to information in our network? And so that was kind of the core thesis. We raised a Series A. I moved down to Florida to scale our engineering team. When we raised our Series B, I moved to Austin to really get a handle on our go to market efforts and try and understand more about our potential customers and get to a point where we could scale this thing.
Hmm.
And I think we got pretty lucky. We formed a partnership with Snowflake 6 months or so before they IPO'd, and we were able to ride their coattails a bit. And we also came out with we went fully in on products like growth. So we went from selling dollar deals to $0 deals. We put pricing on our website. We made it so anybody could sign up for our product and use it at a limited scale and actually get value, improve the value to themselves. And
Hmm.
that kind of unlocked it for us. And we had a really good exit opportunity that we almost went through. We went down to the 1 yard line there and walked away from that deal at the end of 2021. And when May of 2022 came around, my wife and I had our second kid, knew it was time for us to move back to Michigan. So we had bought a house in Austin. We sold the house. And when we were selling the house, it was just the right time for us to take a step back from that company. So I came back to go on sabbatical. I had no idea what I was going to do, actually. I had this conversation with my wife when we were making the move back here. I said, we're coming back to being close to family. I'm taking a step back from my company. I just don't know what we're going to do. I could never work in like a cubicle. Like that's not for me. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to get a remote job with some tech company. That was the thought.
Yeah.
And I just got really lucky. I moved back here. I got introduced to Trista Van Tyne at Michigan Founders Fund through a lady that worked with me at my previous company, Neha Shah, introduced me to Trista. She'd like been to Michigan once or something, maybe never, but they like lived across the street from each other. They had met each other in San Francisco 10 years ago. She introduced me to Trista, saying, "You need to meet this lady." And Trista told me about Michigan Tech Week, the very first conference to bring together all of Michigan's startup scene. The first time that they were doing it happened to be like 5 weeks after we moved home in 2022. And so I went to that. I had nothing better to do. I went to that. And it shocked me to see that there were so many great people building so many great companies that were based here in Michigan. It really blew my mind. I was super excited about it. And I remember driving home from that conference, I went from like being really happy to being really mad. And I was calling my friends and saying, why the heck didn't you tell me that this stuff was happening? Because in my mind, if I knew that it was happening in Michigan, I would have done it here too. I didn't need to leave my family and be gone for 12 years of my life and miss out on every single little thing. We didn't come home for anybody's birthday, graduation parties with like my cousins and my wife's cousins and things like that. No, we didn't see any of those things. We missed out on every single one of those by being gone. We didn't realize that we were sacrificing that stuff when we left. It sucked, right? And so I knew in that moment it became very clear to me what we missed by being gone, and that we didn't need to be gone. We could have been doing it here, you know? And so I started from that point on, I started connecting with anybody that was building startups in Michigan. I literally went on to Crunchbase, got a free trial of Crunchbase, so I could download the database of like companies that were here in Michigan. Right. And I went on to LinkedIn. I was like, connect. I had a bunch of conversations with a bunch of people. I got connected with Chris Rizek, had a call with him. I'm sure that in the moment he was like, who the heck is this guy? You know, but just connected with as many people as I could that were either building startups or supporting startups in Michigan. And then Trista called me about a month later and said, hey, we've been looking for someone that's been a founder that can run the member network here at Michigan Founders Fund, if that's of interest. And I was like, Trista, you don't even have to pay me. Like I'll do it for free. Like let's go. And she ended up paying me anyway, which is great. But joined Michigan Founders Fund for just about 2 years and grew the member network there. We almost tripled the member network while I was there. That's all high growth founders and investors building in Michigan that want to see more people building in Michigan, that want to have great exits here, hire great people here, and support the next generation of founders. Awesome mission, love it. So I was there for a while, and then got the itch to get into venture, and I was going to go down the path of launching a venture firm last summer, and the folks at MSU Research Foundation reached out and said, hey, no, don't do that. Join our organization, make all of your venture mistakes with us. You can move on and do something else later if you want to, but we're doing what you want to do. And it's true. I wanted to support early stage founders in Michigan. Not that I don't care about other folks, but like where my passion is here for this state and the founders that are building here. And so it was an easy decision to join the team and get involved because they have the largest portfolio in the state, and they're investing early stage where I wanted to be.
What's interesting too, and I know that you mentioned that you missed some stuff, some family time, but you and your wife when you were gone. But at the same time, what's interesting about your story, I know that we had that Chicago thing in common, but you also had the opportunity to go to Florida. You went to Austin. Obviously, we all know how big Austin's become in terms of technology and, separate. I know there's a big hubbub with a lot of California celebrities and folks leaving Cali and going to Austin from a financial perspective. So it is interesting seeing Austin over the years blossom even bigger than ever it was. I remember the first days of going to South by, and it was just little old Austin, keeping it weird. And then now it's just, you can't find a house to save your life because it's really cool though that you have that experience in 2 other major types of cities with startup and tech, and applying whether it's those lessons or those hacks to Michigan and the stuff that you're doing now. So I know that I hear you like having, missed out on family stuff on my end too for so long, but it must feel good to have those connections in those cities in terms of ideas or whatnot that can benefit you here, but also seeing how things are done differently or maybe more efficiently you can apply to the work that you're doing here in Michigan.
I do think that there's probably a reason why we're able to do what we're doing now at the research fund. I think why we were able to find the success we did at Michigan Founders Fund, and also why we're getting a lot of success here now at the foundation. And I think a lot of that is just entrepreneurial attitude and mindset of like, generally people think that something that hasn't been done before isn't going to be done anytime soon. And it's just we're going to try it anyway, right? Like if you just have that attitude of like, let's just try it. Let's just see, right? Like usually it's not so incredibly difficult to get something done, a connection to a new person or, a new feature you're trying to build. You just have to think through it with folks and work together with folks. I think that's a big thing. And there's also I think it's very, very nice that to go out and build something, to go out and do something. The experience that you get from working in a startup, I don't know if you have to be a co-founder or not, but just the experience of working in a startup and understanding the pace that startups work at, I think gives you an appreciation for the people that are going down the path next, right? Because from it's part of the team here, right? So I'm former founder Tommy Skinner on the team's former founder Tom Stewart has been a founder. Kim Gomez on the team has been a founder now multiple times, right? So there's people that are going down the path of building something that understand the time moves like 5 times faster for a founder than for what I would call normal people, because I think you have to be a little crazy to go down this path. And so understanding that, appreciating that, and really working hard to support the folks that are doing this stuff, I think that's been really helpful. I think that made it really easy for me to connect with founders in Michigan, is the fact that I've done it before. Not even the fact that it was like it was pretty successful, but not even that. It's just the fact that, like, yeah, okay, this is the crazy thing that we had to go through, right? Like that being able to commiserate with folks and just share experiences, that deepens connection, builds relationships, and makes it, I mean, that's what we found since coming back to Michigan. It makes it super easy to connect with people.
And that's what I found in general, like having worked in the startup space back at Orbitz, things in Chicago, then when my husband and I started Bottles Nation, there is something to be said about connecting with founders and stuff they go through, because I'll be real, even though it was also COVID, so we started this virtual thing that did really well during COVID. It was difficult to even share ups and downs with friends because they understood, but they couldn't understand. Like they couldn't understand that, no, we can't go to sleep because we have to do XYZ thing right now. It's 3 a.m, but Michael's got to get thousands of bottles of wine across the country, and the biggest partner of ours decided to change their systems during
Yes.
Labor Day weekend. And friends could empathize, but they couldn't understand how, like, yes, I've gained 20 pounds because I haven't left my desk, and I'm doing this while raising 2 kids during COVID and a dog in an
Yes.
apartment while we temporarily decided where to find a house. It's there. You think you're spot on with, there's things that different founders go through, and it is different, but then you have that commonality of being a founder of, dude, yeah, I totally get it. That has been tricky for me to have that type of understanding with other parents or moms my age, because they haven't been in that crazy founder startup arena before. That's a really good
Yep.
point.
Yep. I will say, I think there's an opportunity. People don't do this enough. There's an opportunity to get like the partners of founders together in a big way, because they could do, like Rachel, that was my wife, does so much around our house, because I don't, because I'm like doing this 24/7. I just get obsessed about the problem, that the challenges in front of me and the impact they can have, all this stuff. And so she does so much and has to deal with all of my crap, right? And I think the partners of founders all share that in common, and would, like, they could have their own show about this stuff and the crazy things that they have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh, just thinking about what Michael and I went through. So thanks for that in terms of the background, and you're here in Michigan. I would love to talk about this really interesting, exciting thing that you've launched in concert with so many organizations across the state. So before we go into this crazy pitch competition, crazy in a good way, that's about to launch, when I first met with you, you had shared so many quick stats about investment and money and startups in Michigan. I remember hanging up the phone thinking, okay, wow, like I knew there was stuff happening here, but holy crap, there really is. Like, I'm not saying you validated it for me, but because you had recently come back, similar to how I came back, you did it in such a lens in terms of what's happening from an investment standpoint in a way that was, you know, others have too. So other organizations in Michigan, Detroit too, but something about the way that you were just sharing recent data that really set me back with, wow. So before we go into this amazing news with the pitch competition, help folks understand, because Pete, when I talk to people about investment happening in Michigan and the millions that's raised or the exits, I get a lot of, are you sure? Really? Come on. So if you can just share any high level macros you would like to share about whether it's investment or exits, to level set for people what is happening in the state besides just cars, that would be great.
All right. So the Michigan is full of incredible history across a ton of different industries. And you're right. Well, most people, when they think about Michigan, they think automotive, and they should, because Michigan has been the center in the world for automotive. We are phenomenal at that, but we are so much more than that as well. That just gets overshadowed by the automotive side. 40% of venture dollars in Michigan go into healthcare. right? And people don't know that. I think the most valuable company in Michigan is Stryker. Like Stryker's a medical device company.
Yay, Western Michigan.
Yeah, there you go, right? But for real, but we have history in all of these spaces too, right? So we know, well, now a lot of people don't know, but now they will, that the flu vaccine was invented in Michigan. The whooping cough vaccine was invented in Michigan, right? By an all-female team, including a black female chemist that was an MSU grad. Really freaking cool. Super cool. Ooh, Lonnie Gordon, I think was her name. Super cool. The first snowboard was invented in Michigan, called the Snurfer, right? That was invented here in Michigan. The birthplace of organized skiing is Michigan. The first professional hockey team, freaking Michigan, right? Like we've done incredibly cool stuff. Not to gosh, and on top of that, right, we have the automotive history, the fact that we have advanced we're like the birthplace of modern manufacturing. We know we got the moniker the Arsenal of Defense during World War II because we were producing a bomber every single hour out of Willow Run Airport. 70% of ground vehicles for the military are still made in Michigan, right? And we just don't talk about it. It's like a $30 billion industry in Michigan. Defense is like a $30 billion industry in Michigan. It's unbelievably cool, right? So there is history. Gosh, and that doesn't count I'm just like looking at Traverse City up here is reminding me that Claude Shannon, right, is the father of information theory. Information theory is like this concept that electrons could perform logical operations. Quite literally, the thing that led to computing. The guy's from Traverse City or Petoskey, one of the two. He's from up north, right? And there's another John T. Parsons. John T. Parsons is the inventor of the NC machine, numerical controls. The NC machine leads to the CNC machine, and I'm pretty sure all of that led to 3D printing today, right? That guy is from Traverse City, so Claude Shannon must be from Petoskey. And so that's like the people from Michigan have always been creating incredible things, have been making incredible things, have been pushing the world forward. They've just been doing it in a very Michigan, very Midwestern way, where they're really good at putting their heads down, really good at getting the work done, and they just don't tell people
Wow.
about it.
Dude, that is so Michigan. Oh my
That's
God.
it.
It is so Michigan. The head down thing is what got me. Like, get her done. It's just, I remember growing up, it just get her done. Just be quiet and just focus. And maybe, and I don't know, that's just ingrained in also my Gen X-ness of just get her done.
It's Midwest nice. It's like there's like a double-edged sword for Midwest nice, in my opinion. I love it because people are, and this is truly like the superpower of Michigan and superpower of probably the whole Midwest is that it is really easy to get people to help, right? And case in point, this pitch competition that we are doing, like there are folks all across Michigan that are helping, and that's awesome, right? That don't need to help. That's not really an incentive for them to help. They're doing it anyway because they're like, yep, that's the right thing to do. Super cool. The downside of Midwest Nice is we don't like to brag, which means we don't like to talk about ourselves, which means we don't talk about ourselves and we're not so good at marketing, right? And that's it, right? Like that, we collectively don't put ourselves out there, don't share our stories. And if we don't share our stories, then people don't talk. They don't learn about the new things that are happening, which is why the perspective of Michigan, even my own perspective of Michigan, the perception that I had when thinking of Michigan 3 years ago, when we moved home, was that nothing was happening here. And I couldn't have been more wrong. I couldn't have been more wrong. And now this is what we get to do as ecosystem builders, as investors in Michigan, and as supporters of the great people that are building here, is we get to help share their stories, right? If folks aren't going to do it themselves naturally, what we're going to do is we're going to show them that by sharing these stories, incredible things are going to happen, and we're going to help move the needle there.
So let's talk about the pitch competition. I've been part of a lot of different pitch competitions, different towns, especially in Chicago. And there's something really special about this current one, Pitch Me. And it's happening across 4 different parts of the state. So I would love for you, I know you've talked about this so much, but it's so important. What is the Pitch Me competition and how can people play a role, even if they don't live in certain parts of the state where certain pitches are taking place?
Yep, it's so good. Over the moon excited for this thing. There's like tons of stuff that we can't even announce yet that is coming, that is going to be game changing here, and I'm really excited for it. But Pitch Me it's the state's premier pitch competition. It's state's premier pitch competition series, right? So the MSU Research Foundation has been handed the reins to administer this pitch competition. And we're going to be doing 4, and they start at the end of September. So we are, a few weeks away from this coming out. So September 29th will be in Grand Rapids. September 30th will be in Traverse City. October 1st will be in Detroit. We're going to take October 2nd off because it's Yom Kippur. And then October 3rd will be in Ann Arbor. Each of those pitch competitions is open to, they're focused on certain industries. So in Grand Rapids, it'll be healthcare and life science. Traverse City will be clean tech and outdoor innovation. Detroit is focused on mobility, defense, and advanced manufacturing. And Ann Arbor is AI and software. And each of these pitch competitions, while they are open to startups all across the state, right? So it doesn't matter where you are, you can apply whatever industry you're in or whatever industries you fit here. Apply for those cities. If you get selected, you'll only be able to pitch at one of them, but you could know that you can apply for every single one of them. And they're only open to startups that are based here in Michigan, which I freaking love. Or if you have until Sunday to move to Michigan and apply, which you totally can do, right? If you're from around the country and you want to move to Michigan and then apply, do it. But you have to be based here in Michigan in order to apply, which is different from a lot of other pitch competitions that say there are national pitch competitions that say, hey, we have $1 million prize. If you win, you have to move to our state for a year and then you can leave. I don't understand that at all. We're going to back the people that are already building here. We know that they're incredible. We can see it in our portfolio. There are phenomenal people that are building here in Michigan, and we want to put more fuel behind those companies. And so that's what this pitch competition allows us to do. It's super cool. The winner of each of these regional pitch competitions is going to get a $250,000 prize. Mm-hmm. And there's more beyond that. I just can't say it publicly yet. They're going to get a $250,000 prize, and it's going to be awesome. Awesome. And then we're going to wait 6 months. I want to get capital in their hands as quickly as possible. And then we're going to wait 6 months. They're going to meet again in April, the winners of these 4 pitch competitions. We're going to bring them back. They will meet in the greater Lansing area in April, and they will compete among each other for a $1 million prize. So they're going to get $250,000 at each of these 4 pitch competitions this fall, and then another $1 million in April of next year. That's incredible. So the winner of this gets $1.25 million across all those different industries.
Wow. So that's amazing. I know that there's a website, which I'll include the link to this as well, but is there a way that a couple things, can anyone watch, or are you streaming the different regional pitches for people to see what was pitched?
TBD. We might. Right now, there's no plans to do it, but I know that space is going to be limited, and this seems to be getting a lot more attention than even we predicted. We thought it would get a lot of attention. It just seems to be getting even more. We were on the radio this week. We were on the TV twice. And so we might do something there, but TBD.
Because I was also going to say, especially the grand, reveal in April, but I'm not saying you're doing like a Shark Tank style type of thing, but how spectacular would that be? And the reason why I ask, and this is another reason why we connected in terms of having the experience of coming back, what's really piquing my interest about Michigan in general. I know there's all these great groups like MSU Research Foundation, there's TechTown, there's also the MEDC, there's the You Can in Michigan campaign. Back to what Pete said earlier, if you want to move to Michigan by Sunday, you can go to the You Can in Michigan website to find out different incentives and whatnot to move to different parts of Michigan, because there are incentives. I am really jazzed on how, going back to the Midwest, and there's so many immigrants here. I'm a child of immigrants. How can we and this is where I think Michigan can really take the lead in this. How can we take the startup, entrepreneurial, techie, cool startup, really, really cool stuff, and somehow connect that to the everyday Michigander? Even if that everyday Michigander isn't going to be a part of it, they may not pitch. I am so intrigued by how we can take what's kind of new technology or new corporate America or new things that are developing, and have the person who, perhaps making this up, spent 25 years at Ford on the line putting windows in cars. How do you excite them for their grandkids? Or how do you excite them with, dude, you were part of this amazing monolith with the big 3 and you helped put us on the map. Guess what? The next phase is coming in. We can't solve world peace right now, but that's where I'm interested to see about how we can connect the dots with that person who worked for, I forgot the name of the tank company that's in Warren. It's a tank company. A relative of mine works there. It's in Warren. They make tanks. It's
like Taycom?
Maybe that's what
I had an internship at Taycom when I was in high school. It's right there. It's at 13 or 14 and Van Dyke or something.
Thank you. That place, yes, because that was
Cool. Yeah, takeout.
we took that place on the way back when I used to swim at the Warren Pool. It was around the corner from the pool. Yeah. How can we take folks who've worked for that, that entity or their kids and tie this together? That's what I think the big win could be of making everyone excited in some way or fashion,
Yeah.
even to be aware of it.
I think a little bit of history here is fun. So you mentioned like working on the assembly line.
Mhm.
Barry Gordy, founder of Motown, was
Yes.
working on the assembly line in Detroit. Was also writing songs on the side. Realized he wasn't getting paid enough, and so he then founded Motown. But that was a guy that was just working on the line that then created Motown. Right, the same thing that can't remember the name. The founder of Gibson Guitars was a clerk, like worked retail, and then also taught himself how to make instruments and created Gibson Guitars. The founder of the Snurfer was a guy that, gosh, what did he have? He had a small business in Muskegon, Michigan, and created the Snurfer for his daughters to like entertain his kids. Right? Those are regular people. Right? It's,
Mm.
it's just the fact that it's also in our blood as Michiganders to make things. Right? Like that. And I do think that that's a really special combination of ingredients that we as Michiganders have that like that may be unique to us, but it just seems constant. Almost everybody that you talk to is doing really cool stuff for fun because it's what they do. It's like our history goes all the way back to like before the state started with logging and with mining and with like just blue collar grit and like that attitude of like we just got to get the work done, like that put your head down and get the work done attitude. Like it's just we're just full of people like that. And so when you look at the founders of these companies, and even the ones that are going to be pitching at this pitch competition, that like you may think that they're wildly successful. Nobody's wildly successful yet. And so many of these folks are first time founders that don't know, like in reality, many of them don't know what's ahead of them. And like there's so much confusion and fear there. They're just doing it anyway because they're putting their heads down and getting the work done. They're just regular people that are trying to chase a dream. And I think everybody in Michigan can get behind that.
That's actually a really great parallel because people who know me know, you may not know, I'm obsessed with Motown to the point where Barry Gordy was honored at the Kennedy's Center Honors. And I stalked nicely their offices about any public access tickets and if I could buy them. And a gal pile of mine from high school were able to buy tickets and go down to the Kennedy Center Honors, the last line, last seat in the top balcony to see everyone. Barry Gordy was one of the folks who had received an award. And it's funny you say that because now, having read his book, that makes sense because the Motown sound was popular and he was notorious in the editing room, editing songs similar to the processional, like when he would work on the line and, da, 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 da. That makes sense because you probably took that type of formula or cadence when he would edit the songs to be just right with that Motown hook with the Funk Brothers as the backup band. That is really interesting. That
That's
for
so
me.
good. That's so good.
Wow.
I didn't know you liked Barry Gordy. That's awesome.
Oh, I'm obsessed. I mean, the Motown Museum was like my own version of church. So, but I also think that's interesting what you said about, and this is huge, huge to stress. The people that are pitching or the folks who came up with these concepts are everyday people. And what I say that coming from the perspective, and especially those in tech will know, not what I'm hearing is not a typical repeat, perhaps younger, you know, person who is founded, created over and over again. It sounds to me that there's people that are, positioning their ideas or whatnot that are for the first time and may not fit the demographic that we're used to. Is that something that you
It's
think is a
it's
valid
both. It's
statement?
both.
Okay.
It's both. You get folks from all across Michigan. Yes, of course, there are people in Michigan that have founded multiple companies that are founding another one. That's awesome. I love that. Keep going. And there's lots of folks, the vast majority are people that are like, man, I've had this problem forever. I need to solve this problem. And they are going and creating new companies to solve those problems now. I would shout out companies. I can't not shouting out companies right now because we got this awesome pitch competition going on. And I'm not trying to play favorites with anybody. But there are amazing people from all backgrounds, all stripes that are building high growth companies here in Michigan now. And that's what when we do this pitch competition, that's what the people in Michigan are going to see. I'd love for as many people in Michigan as possible to see that, which is why we really are putting a lot behind content and storytelling here. We'll see that a lot on social media. I think we've seen that a lot over the last week. It's just kind of blown up, and certainly on LinkedIn, and we'll be doing the same on Instagram and more. But when people see this, they'll see it's people from Michigan that are building these great companies.
That's great. Well, Pete, what is the web address where people can follow in terms of what's happening, whether it's both Pitch Me, but other types of URLs that you want to share?
Yep, pitchme.org. So pitchmi.org. You can learn everything about it. If you're a founder, apply by Sunday, September 14th, this Sunday by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't be
Yep.
late. It won't be extended.
You can also follow the MSU Research Foundation on LinkedIn and check out their site as well. Pete, thank you for the breakdown. And this is really exciting. I'm stoked to see this additional type of pitch, this extra energy coming into the state. As you know, I mentioned there's different groups that are all working together. That makes me really happy to see all these entities working together.
I will. We're going to double click on that because that really has been happening. So it all got started because of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. They put out this RFP. We put our hat in the ring. We got this grant. That in and of itself is amazing. It wouldn't happen without that. But man, as soon as that happened, organizations from across the state said, yes, we'll help. We'll help. We'll help. Right? We have the right place in Grand Rapids, the Grand Rapids Smart Zone. We've got 20 Fathoms up in Traverse City where you're at. Grove Community Incubator came in super early and said, hey, we've got space available on this date. You guys can have the event there. That's exactly what's happening. We're doing our event on September 30th at Timber Ridge because Nick Beetleson, the folks at Grove, already had an event and they said, you guys can use our space. That's amazing. Same thing with Renaissance Venture Capital in Detroit. And when they're doing on demo day, they said, yep, you guys can come to Ford Field and you can use our space. It made it so easy for us to pre-plan where we would have these events. We've got Tech Town has come in, Invest Detroit has come in. Gosh, Ann Arbor Spark has come in. Literally everybody. Folks in the Upper Peninsula have came in early, and we are already lining up Marquette next year because of partners that reached out to us a while ago. So we're going to be in Marquette in the UP next summer because I can't remember if we talked about it, but we're going to do this pitch competition series. We'll have the state championship in April, and then we're going to do it again next summer, and we'll have another championship in December of next year. So we're going to do it twice. We're going to invest $4 million in startups between now and the end of 2026 just through this pitch competition, which would be really cool. And the only reason it's happening is because all of Michigan has come together to say, yes, we are supportive of the startups and the founders that are building here. And it's just made this whole thing easy. I mean, it's been busy, really busy,
Yeah.
but it's easy.
Well, Pete, thank you. And thanks for that. Pete, thank you so much. If you have any questions at all, ping me. We'll get to Pete or ping Pete. And thanks for all you do. And good luck with all the different applications you're getting this weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.